I've been thinking about creating this video for quite some time, but I've been postponing it. So I thought I'll get started with this first video. It's called the Matrix of Understanding. Let's assume that we represent the whole world using this rectangle, and let's represent. Let me take a circle for representing I. So let me mark it in green. Let's call this as I, and let's draw one more circle in red. Let's call that as U. As long as these are two different entities, right, which are not intersecting with each other or not affecting each other, I don't think it's going to matter much. But the moment they start affecting each other, this is going to be really critical. So let's say this is like two independent entities. Now let's say there is some shared commonality that can be shown by this particular intersection. So let's call this as like common things, or let's say shared items, C or S. When I say common things, it could be shared characteristics, shared beliefs, shared geography, history, context, language. It could be shared goals, shared traditions, challenges, experiences. It could be any of these things. So only when we see some kind of shared commonness, that's when generally we get interested in each other or we come together. Now let's say when two people are trying to work together or like trying to come together, it becomes very important to understand a matrix that I call it as a U understanding matrix. Let's take a line to kind of understand this concept. Let's draw a matrix. Let's say this is the observer line. So let's draw it like this. In x-axis, let's consider this is basically the person who is trying to understand. Let's call it I and U, and similarly let's call it I and U here. So now this quadrant would be basically I understanding I, and this would be I understanding U. This would be U understanding I, and this would be U understanding U. Now in these four quadrants, I think the two important quadrants are these two quadrants, that is I understanding you, I understanding I, and you understanding you. I would say these are the two important quadrants because here it's majorly about, there are no external dependencies in this. It's basically I understanding myself and you understanding yourself. And if I had to kind of like even prioritize further in that, you understanding you is more of your choice. I don't have a direct impact or a direct control on that, right? So I would say this is the most important matrix. So if you look at I as an individual, what are the things that I can do, it's always better to start with this matrix, that is I understanding I or I understanding myself. So this you can call it as self-awareness. It can be because of self-introspection, or to understand what makes you happy, what do you want to do, etc. So I think most of the times it may always make sense to start with this quadrant, because for all other quadrants to be effective, I think this is the most important ingredient as well, because only when I understand myself better, I'll be able to understand you, what are your needs, what you are expecting from this relationship, and etc. And similarly, if I'm having challenges understanding myself, there's very little fairness in me expecting you to understand me. So I think like this is the basic. And once I have an understanding of myself, and then based on that, I'll be able to have a better understanding of you, And then once I have a better understanding of you, I can help you understand yourself, and only after that would I have earned the right for you to understand me. So if I have to look at it like a priority order, right, I would always start with I understanding myself, then I understanding you, and then me helping you understand yourself, and then I would expect you to understand me. So this is the cycle, and this is the direction that I would generally prefer taking. While this may be more time consuming, etc., I think this is the basis of any long term relationship. In Adhyatmika, there is a term called as Atma Bandhu, which means that those who are very dear to you. I don't think there's a equivalent word in English for that, but it says that Atma Bandhu is like somebody who is a relative to you at the level of your consciousness or awareness. And for that to happen, it's very important that they also have that awareness. So I have been using this word earlier also, but the kind of understanding I have of that word is has completely changed now. And I am generally a logical person, and while trying to understand like what should be the approach for myself, this is a matrix that I came up with, and I think that this can be helpful for others as well. These are all half-baked, non-clear thoughts, but these are the thoughts that are helping me figure out things. So I wouldn't expect anybody else to understand or even find it worthy. But as of now, I feel like sharing it with more people, because it will make it easier for me to connect with more people who have a similar framework of thinking. So I'll be putting all these thoughts and videos under a playlist called as Madman's Musings, because as of now that is what it is. Thank you for taking out the time to listen to this.